Hey guys, what's going on? This is Travis. I'd like to welcome you back to the channel. Well, today guys, we're going to take a look at the Apple PowerBook G4 High Resolution Edition laptop. When this little technological powerhouse was released back in 2005, it boasted a 1.67 gigahertz PowerPC processor, 2 gigs of RAM, 128 megabyte ATI video card, a high resolution screen, and a backlit keyboard. This was the answer to the prayers of many Apple Power users. Well, let's go ahead and fast forward ahead 13 years. We're going to take a look at this computer today, see what kind of performance it actually has. And is it something you should even consider buying? Considering that this little computer cost about $2,000 when it was released back in 2005, you can now pick these up for well under $100 on eBay. With spare parts readily available, it might be something to consider. So stay tuned guys, we're going to take a look at this Apple PowerBook G4 high resolution laptop. Alright, stay tuned, here we go. While the original PowerBook G4s were released in 2003, the high-resolution model was released in 2005. It was the last in the series. It only had about a 6-month run before it was replaced by the MacBooks and MacBook Pros in 2006. Like I mentioned before, it does boast a 1.67 gigahertz G4 processor. It does have 4 megabytes of ROM. It did come originally with 512 megs of RAM, which was expandable to 2 gigabytes using 533 megahertz PC to DDR2 RAM. It did have the ATI Mobility Radeon 9700 AGP4X 128 megabyte video card, and also featured a slew of connectors, which makes it even more usable today. So we'll give you a little 360-degree tour of this computer. What we have here is a Kensington lock area where you could lock this computer to a desk or cabinet, whatever you needed to do with the cable lock. USB 2.0 port, a FireWire out port, composite video out port, Ethernet port, PS2 mouse connector, and a DVI video out port. So it definitely had no lack of ports to it. Now let's go and check out the left-hand side. Now on the left-hand side of this laptop, we had your charge connector, which was pre-MagSafe version. If you know anything about the Apple laptops, this did not have the magnetic connector. It had an old-school plug, a 56K modem connection, USB 2.0 port on the left side, microphone jack, headphone jack, and a PC card slot, which was something that offered a lot of flexibility with other peripherals at the time, like additional wireless cards, fax connectors, and so on. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the keyboard. Now, old Mac laptop keyboards are one of my favorite features, and the backlighting on this keyboard is fantastic. You have a variety of illumination levels that you can select for it when you're using it, and it would automatically come on in low light situations, which makes it very usable in many environments even today. The satin finish and responsive trackpad makes it even more of a joy to type on. While the sleek brushed aluminum finish looks very modern by today's standards, unfortunately was not very durable. This unit, we purchased it back in 2010, I believe, from the Texas A&M student store. They were selling these refurbished online. They did replacement batteries and replacement hard drives in it, but they couldn't guarantee the external condition of the laptop. And as you can see, we've got some dents and dings here. Not actually from my wife. These are from the laptop when we got it. But that's just part of the thin aluminum case that was used on these computers. Not the most durable thing in the world, and they definitely showed their age as time went on. A couple little pock marks here, and a little dent over here. So that's something to look for when you get one. Make sure you find one that's got a case that's not completely beat up. Also, ours has a bit of a bend right here, and the latch button never did come out all the way, although it was perfectly functional. It does feature, this one does have the dual layer 8-speed DVD writer, which was also very cool, and it burns old school CDs, CD-ROMs relatively quickly. Alright, and just a couple things to mention real quick. You had 3 hard drive options available at the time when you purchased this laptop. You could get yourself a 100 gigabyte 7200 RPM drive, 120 gigabyte 5400 RPM drive, or an 80 gigabyte 5400 RPM hard drive. Now this model, unfortunately with it being refurbished, was only refurbished with a brand new 40 gigabyte hard drive, of which we have about 25 gigs available. So it's still perfectly usable today. Now we should also mention the screen, which was the big selling point for the high-res edition, which was the last version of the PowerBook G4 you could get with a 15-inch screen. The resolution on the screen that you see right here is 1440 by 960, and we'll try to show off a few of those images. Although it's hard for my camera to show that to you on the screen that you're looking at, the resolution is actually quite stunning, and considering the time that it came out, it was definitely one of the highest resolution screens out there you could get on a laptop, much less an Apple laptop computer. The dimensions on this laptop are 9.5 inches by 13.7 inches by 1.1 inches thick. The weight on it is 5.6 pounds, and this model number is the M9969LL-A. So even though you're running a G-Spec wire card, and I've got a very modern wireless system hooked up in the basement, Google searches on this PowerBook G4 are rather speedy. We just typed in PowerBook G4, and as you can see, it came up with no issues. There's very little lag, if any at all. Facebook itself looks a little bit different than what you might be used to on some of your newer machines, okay? But it does work, which is the important thing. And you can get to Facebook if you want to. You can still post and read your messages and do all those fun things. Now, when it comes to some of the Facebook games and so on, there's a chance that those games may not play for you. Amazon.com, no problems at all, popped right up. Oh, by the way, I ended up having to use the Safari browser because both Camino and 10.4 Fox were not able to load some of these websites. They just simply were not supported anymore. And it's been a couple years since I've used this computer, so I wasn't even sure what was going to happen once we took it out of the package. eBay, no problems at all. Now, as for YouTube, initially I got a notice that said that it was unable to even open up the website, but when I just refreshed it, YouTube did let me in, but unfortunately, it will not play the videos. It does show you messages that have been posted on videos. It does show you the listing for the video itself, the number of views and so on, but you're unable to play videos. So there may be some way that you can get that to work if you fiddle around with it. But this could be one of those points that makes a person definitely not want to buy this computer. So remember, guys, when you're talking about technology that's over 10 years old, the support just really isn't there anymore. Okay, let's just talk about general applications, what you can expect, and we will go from there. Now, one thing that's a definite bonus for machines like this is the availability of software. It's relatively inexpensive. A con about this software is that you're not going to get a whole lot of support for it. So you might be running an older version of Office. For example, we're running Office 2004 right now. You do have iTunes, you do have iMovie, iCal, and so on, and you can still use those programs, but just understand that there could be some lag and some delay when you're using them, something that can be frustrated by today's users. So there are three definite cons that you need to bear in mind if you're going to buy a machine like this, aside from the fact that it's just old technology and could fail at any time. The first one is the fact that there's very limited JavaScript support for the browser. In other words, you're going to have trouble running modern websites, running them efficiently. You also may have some trouble updating certain programs or getting particular programs to run. I tried to do an Octane 2.0 test or even an earlier version, and it was not able to complete the task because the JavaScript was so out of date on the browser. There are very few updates that are still supported for this computer and the programs that it's running on. So just keep that in mind. Okay, the other con you got to watch out for is the screen itself. These screens unfortunately had a very limited life, and eventually they just get more and more dim as time goes on, and you simply can't see them anymore. I do have one set of kitchen lights turned off in the kitchen that I'm working in, and I'm just at a comfortable level where I could type and do some work on this computer if I wanted to, although the screen is as bright as it's going to get, and it's not overly bright by any stretch. So do keep that in mind. Also, finally, this computer did ship with a, the original battery was a 50 watt-hour lithium-ion battery, which could give you 5.5 to 6 hours of usable time. I'm on my second or third replacement battery. New, I do buy them new, just simply off eBay. They're just generic batteries, but I'm lucky if I can get 3 to 3.5 hours of time out of those batteries, even though they supposedly have the same number of milliamps as the Apple original battery. So the power efficiency on the laptop just seems to go after a while. So this isn't necessarily a machine that's going to get you through the entire day without having to be plugged in. It would, however, make a wonderful machine for a child as like a first Mac if you want them just to mess around with it, or if you want to limit what your kids can do online, give them something that has very limited online accessibility in general. Although it is, like I said, it's a great value for the money. It's a neat little piece in Apple history for somebody that likes to collect old school tech. It's definitely worth checking out. They are a fantastic value at anywhere between $50 to $100. With a 15-inch screen and the DVD player and great speakers, it still has some use today. So all in all, I think it's definitely something that you should check out if you're interested in old school Mac technology. Alright guys, so that's it. Thanks for joining us today as we checked out this Apple PowerBook G4 High Resolution Edition laptop computer. We did a little 360 tour, talked about the specifications, and just showed whether or not you could actually do anything with it these days. Again, they're still very usable machines with a lot of programs on them and relatively inexpensive software out there on the open market that you can still buy for them. So would I buy one of these? I don't know, today it might be a little hard for me to consider doing with just a limited internet use, but they're kind of fun just to have around, so sure, why not? Between $50 and $100, they do make a nice little just spare laptop to have around if you just want to mess around or you want something to type on with very little distractions, maybe listen to some music, watch a movie, and so on. These definitely will fill that little niche for you. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching today. Please like or subscribe. We got a lot more tech videos coming up for you in the future, and this is Travis. I want to thank you for joining us. All right, guys, have fun, be safe, and as you know, we will talk to you soon. All right, bye-bye.